10th, 1915. Fern was born September 18, 1918, I think. And Ross was born December 9, 1922. Fern and Ross were both born up in Kalispell when we lived up there. And then we moved back down here. Dad farmed. He bought a great big old tractor, Ottman Taylor they called it. And he farmed his place, and they farmed a whole lot of the valley out there. They raised wheat first few years until they got irrigation. And he
just out here, not on the prairie, right?
No, just out in the valley out there. And that old Altman Taylor tractor sat out there by Sampson's until during the war. I think they took it and cut it up for scrap. But it was sitting out there on the corner of the Sampson place for years and years. Because Dad was using it in 1916 and 17 and them years, and then they quit farming for wheat, grain, and they got irrigation in out there in about 1919 or somewhere in there. I don't know just what year. And then I think mostly they farmed, put their land in hay and farmed and had cattle. And we went to school. We had to walk a quarter of a mile. We had school bus drivers that had a team of horses and an old wagon school bus.
Never knew they did that.
Me either.
And we went that way for quite a few years. One year we went to school, and this man that drove the bus, drove the horses for the bus, took us to school that morning when we came to Hot Springs that day.
Drove the horses for the bus.
Anyway, along about noon, a north wind came up, and it started to snow and blizzard. And time he got back to Lone Pine to bring us home in the school bus, why, the roads were drifted from the corner, a quarter of a mile from our house out to the corner. Dad met us out there when we come home. The snow was so deep, we had to walk along a ditch bank because you couldn't walk anywhere else. It had drifted for part of that way. It wasn't all of that way. And I went to school at Lone Pine all through, graduated from 8th grade, and I didn't have a high school. So all the kids went somewhere else except one other boy and myself. And we didn't go away to school, so this teacher that was teaching the 7th and 8th grade taught us the first year of high school. So we were the only two there for the first year of high school. And then the next year they built a high school. There was one story and they raised it up and made 2 stories out of it. And then they had high school there for I went to school there the next 3 years.
You started a big trend.
Yeah.
And your grandpa.
How'd you meet him?
March, huh?
How did you meet him?
How'd I meet him? Well, I was friends with a girl named Vivian Camp, and I walked over to her house that day to visit, and she wasn't home. There was nobody home. And her brother lived in the house about a quarter of a mile on south of that. And so I walked over there, and they were all there, and he had gotten in the day before, and she introduced me to him. And then that was in March of
30.
in April 1932 we got married. And we lived with my dad that first summer and winter, and then we rented Dononville place up there and farmed it. There was no house on it, so we had to Nell Dononville, which was an unmarried daughter of the old folks who rented from. She had homesteaded, and she had a cabin up on her 40. So they moved that down onto the 40 where we lived. And that fall then, they built an addition on it for us. And we lived there until spring in 1935. Grandpa bought a team of mules and a team of horses to farm with. In 1935, in the spring, we moved down on what was the Hood place and farmed there. He built us a house, 2-room house. And we lived there that first fall. He hadn't put the siding on the outside, and just sheetrock, or not sheetrock, but just boards inside and outside. We had an early storm that fall along about the last of September, when the snow blew through the north side of the house, and we put up a blanket and stayed in the living room most of the time. And Grandpa went to town the next day, and they got paper. We used what they call deadening felt. It was a heavy paper, papered the inside. And then the man that owned the house then come out and put siding on right away. But it was early storm. He had planned on having that done, but from that early storm. Anyway,
Didn't you have any kids by then?
Yeah, I had, Geraldine was born. We moved into the Dononville house when I come home from the place where I had her. I was a midwife, and we stayed 10 days, and when I come home we went directly to our house over there. And then Marvin was born in that house in January, and lived there then until April, I suppose.
Of 35?
Yeah. And then we moved over in that other house. And we lived there until about 1940 or 41. And then we bought a small place. I thought it was 41 when we moved away from there.
Well, April 9th of 41.
That's when Mom was born.
Yeah, she was born in that house up there. And Don was born up there too.
What year was that?
And Robert was born up there. Robert was born in 37. Don was born in 39. Got, Grandpa's mother took care of me when Robert was born. She was more or less a midwife. They were out here from Arkansas that summer. Farmed out here that year. He had gone to Arkansas and brought them out. And they were, I think they was there that summer, and then the next summer, and then they went back again. And Don was born, and I come to a midwife down here in Hot Springs, and he was born in December 31st, 1939. And then my mom was born out there in that house in 1941. There was a doctor here in Hot Springs that came out and delivered her there at home. And then in 42, I think, probably, we bought this 40 acres and moved into it. And Grandpa drove school bus a lot of those years. It's a long time.
I didn't know that.
Did he drive it, or did the horses?
Oh, he had a school bus.
Motorized.
A motor?
He got a Dodge truck and built a body on it. Had a nice
Huh.
body on it. And he drove school bus up there for, I think he was driving school bus when Robert was born. Anyway, he drove school bus for quite a number of years there, and then whenever we moved into this Hot Springs district, and he started driving school bus down here. But we had moved to that place in the spring, and in the fall we sold it and went to Renton, Washington, and he worked in the shipyard. Went to work in the shipyard during the war.
So what did he do there?
He was an electrician. Worked there until 1946, I think they laid off a lot of people.
How did he get to be an electrician?
He just, I don't know, he just went to work there, and that was the job that he got.
Kinda all on the job training.
Must have been. Because he never had any training other than just what he knew. He was pretty good at it anyway. And in 1946 we bought a trailer and moved to California. And in February. Well, no, before that we moved to, you're going to have this all mixed up. We moved into Tacoma. We bought a house in Tacoma and moved in there and lived for 6 or 8 months, I guess. And then Dad didn't get any job and couldn't work, so we put it up for sale and bought that trailer and went to California because his brother was down in California, and I went down there and he worked.
What part of California?
I can't think of the name. It's close to Los Angeles. It's one of the, I can't think of the name of it at all. Anyway, he worked there on construction, and then this construction company was going to build a General Motors plant quite a little ways away, but he could have worked, but he didn't want to go with that, so we packed up and sold our trailer and went to Arkansas. Kind of thought maybe we'd stay there, but
Isn't that when you went through the desert and had the bags hanging out the window for water?
Yeah, Mom, so that's
Had all the kids squished in the car? All the
everything you owned
belongings,
on that
all the
car.
belongings you could fit in.
yeah, the car quit us.
Yeah, it died, didn't it?
And then we got it going. We got on to Arkansas with it, but then we traded it off and got a different car. We decided to come back to Montana, so we moved back here. And we
Look at all that messing around. Living here, living there.
And wound up right back where you started.
Yeah.
Well, but anyway, he rented what was the Herman Christmore place. We farmed it for 2 summers, and the guy that we had lived on his place up there for several years, he'd come by one day and wanted to sell it to us, so we bought it. Paid $5,000 for it, and he
Land also?
Huh?
The land also?
All of it.
It was 40 acres?
80 acres.
80 acres?
80 acres in a house for $5,000.
Yeah, well,
Not a bad deal.
He wanted to get rid of it. He hadn't had good renters since after we moved away from there,
Oh,
and so that's why he sold it to us rather reasonable, because he didn't want it anymore. I mean, he was getting old, and he sold it to us because he she'd had a lot of problems with the natives she'd had while we were not there.
Mm.
He didn't want it anymore. So anyway, we lived there then until 1962, and we sold it and moved into Hot Springs.
So when did you move back to
Lone Pine.
Lone Pine? From Arkansas?
And 1947.
Huh. Where was it in California that Mom buried her?
Yeah, that's what I
For
was trying
China?
to think. San Fernando, I think, is what it
Oh
was.
yeah, San Fernando Valley.
Yeah.
What was it she buried?
A plate. Wasn't it a little plate? A glass plate?
I haven't thought about it in so long, I don't know just what it was. There was some little something her and that girl had quite a tiff over.
That was pretty smart thinking.
Bury it. And then when you guys packed up to move, she went out and dug it up, didn't she? And
I think
probably
the
Yeah.
morning we moved.
Yeah, the very
It
next
happened
morning.
The night before,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
We went the next morning and got it.
I
Still
bet that
has
little
that
girl.
plate.
I bet that little girl was there that afternoon trying to dig it up.
Probably.
Mom
Probably
still
shouldn't
has
do
that plate.
Huh?
Mom still has that plate.
Does she?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we was talking about it not too awful long ago, but I kind of forgot again what that's been said about it.
Little plate.
And don't forget when you lived out there on the farm Lone Pine, you got real chickens in the mail.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of things like that a person could tell in, details over the years. Yeah, we had built a big chicken house out there, half buried, and I think we probably had 200 hens laying.
Wow.
Hmm.
That was the year Don was born, I think, because I know I was about like that, stood there washing eggs to ship to market, and I think we got 9 cents a dozen. We only had chickens maybe 2 years.
Twice,
year.
I think.
Huh?
Twice, I think.
I think maybe, I don't remember, but I know we got out of the chicken business before long. Wasn't very profitable.
But they came in the mail.
It came in the mail.
Yeah.
Where'd they ship them from?
I think Grandpa thought it was somewhere over in Washington. I think's what he was saying.
Yeah, I don't remember now. I don't
Chickens
even
in the
remember
mail.
What we was talking about it the other day when we was out here.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember.
Grandma didn't think chickens ever came in the mail, and Mom said, they did too. I know they came in the mail. So we had to ask Grandpa about it.
Anyway, then we sold the farm and moved into Hot Springs in 1962.
Now, was that into a house that Grandpa built?
No, we lived up there in had been a studio. People lived in it, had an apartment in it, but they had a studio. The guy took pictures,
Uh-huh.
and we lived in that from 62 till, and then we was living there. I don't know how long we lived there.
That's right next to Cortner's, isn't it?
Yeah. But Clarence Getz built a house down here. I think I don't remember now whether we had bought these lots here from an old man. I said something about we should build a house. Clarence Getz was building. Anyway, I bought them the Dom's house and decided that Dom could buy it, build it, and he did it. And we got it. No, I just about spent my
Yeah.
day.
That dry spot.
Anyway, we built that house.
Spent your day what?
Mm-hmm.
You said just about spent your day.
Talking.
Oh.
Anyway, he started that in the spring and got it. They moved into it, I think, that fall. And we were still living up there by partners. And then he bought some property down on the other side of town. So we built that house. And we didn't, we were going to build here, and then, I don't know, for some reason we got that other property built down there.
So did you already have this property?
We owned this property at that time, yeah. In fact, we had it before we had those 3 lots. But then, I can't remember the years there, but we built that house. We started it in the fall, I think.
That's the one that was over there?
The one was down
Oh, the
there.
one's way up over there.
Yeah. And moved into it the next spring, I think. And we lived there for about 13 months, I think. And this couple that lived out, had a farm out there. We was gone to Folsom one day, and they come back and stopped to get the mail. And the postmistress said, John Welch is in here looking for you. I don't know where you were. Wants to buy your house. So we went home, and we discussed it a little bit. I said, that's $25,000. That's $23,500. Anyway, they come back after we'd been home a couple hours. They came, wanted to see the house, and we showed it to them, and asked how much he wanted. He told them what his price was. He turned, walked over to his wife. We'll buy it. That was what. That was how quick that was. And then he was scared all the time. We went to have papers made out and stuff, and they took us to lunch. And after that, everything all settled, he said, I was so afraid you were going to back out. Anyway, we sold it. That was in the middle of the summer, I think, in July. And we rented a house over here and lived there until May the next year. And moved over there, and then we started this house.
Can you imagine how many times they...
Moved a lot.
Yeah.
And we started this house in that fall, and we moved in here in May of 69. Your mom and dad come over to help us move.
I don't remember that.
No, I don't think you do.
I remember the other house over there that you rented. I thought Grandpa built that house.
Well, he did, but that was after we lived here.
Oh, he built that after.
Yeah,
Okay.
we lived here. This is the 3rd house he built. And then he built one out in the country. Big house out there. And he built that. No, I'll take that back. He built my dad's house up here next.
Right.
And then he built that house out in the country. And then he built this house over here. And then
Remember
he
that
built
one.
Redmond's house right on up this lane. Then he built Robert's house.
Didn't you build Donna Carolyn's house?
That was
That was the first one.
Oh, that was the first one.
Built that with the idea of if they couldn't get the money to buy it with, well, it'd be ours. But they got the money through the Indians to buy it. And all these houses, very little wages went with them. White over here, the one that we built over here, he thought that he probably paid more to have his house built than the ones out in the country. But they paid more to have their house built than he did. He just thought that they But their house was a big house, but they, instead of having a garage on it, they took, it was built, but they put it into the house, made it part of the house. And they had a big basement. But actually, the area was bigger, but it didn't cost as much to build as his house did. But Redmond's up here, we're talking about building a house. And then Whites came in and was talking about building. And their daughter-in-law was down to Gamble's one day. And Donna, which is Redmond's, was saying something about Grandpa was going to build them a house. Gail went home and told her father-in-law that they were thinking about building a house. He called that day and says, I want you to build me one, that's definite. They still didn't have the finances quite settled. So he built theirs that summer then, and then started Redmond's that fall.
So if he didn't get hardly any wages, then where was the money coming from?
Well, he got what the material cost and all, but as far as actually getting a lot of wages, it didn't.
Yeah, so where was the money for you guys coming from?
I was working.
And what years did you work? Is that the only place you worked? Is up at the hospital?
I worked up there 22 years.
Oh, full time? Where did you get your nursing degree? Where did you get your nursing degree?
I didn't have a nurse. I was a head cook.
She was a cook.
I worked in the kitchen.
You didn't know she was a cook?
No, I thought she was a nurse.
No.
No, I worked up there, went to work, and
Grandma's been cooking forever.
Huh.
in March of 1952. I quit in June of 1972. I went to work the next day after it opened. And it closed in 6 months after I quit.
Huh. And Grandpa had to make breakfast for the kids.
Yeah.
And from what I hear, they got the same thing every day.
We still do get the same thing every day. Cereal. Cold cereal.
Well, I think he made hot cereal, didn't he?
I don't know. Probably.
Well, and you would make the biscuits and leave them out, and he'd have to put them in the oven. That's what Mom said.
She probably remembers more about it than I did. Anyway, Robert's house then was the last one he built. And he built them all, pretty much all by himself. He wired them and plumbed them and done everything but the finishing the sheetrock. He didn't do that. In Robert's house, he had guys come in and hang the sheetrock, but we hung the sheetrock, him and I, in this house.
Huh.
But we had some guys come and finish it for us. Yeah, I done quite a little, like painting the woodwork and all that kind of stuff. Doors and I worked 4 days on and 4 days off. I worked long days, 3 meals.
Huh.
Well, we got some, I think we got $1,000 from Don, more than what it cost to build it. And I don't remember what we got. But not, of course, wages weren't very much back then either.
Yeah.
But he should have got quite a little more than what he got. Probably got $3,000 or $4,000 on Whites, and probably about that on Merritt's out there. I think he only got $2,000 off of Redmond's. Got kind of beat on that house. He wanted this unfinished lumber for the outside, and that was expensive. And he wanted wood shingles on it.
Mm.
Hired them put on, so that took up quite a little.
Huh. So how much did this place cost to put up?
Oh, about 21 or 2,000.
Well, that's probably pretty good for 69. If this house was sitting in Missoula,
Oh, yeah.
it would.
Make you a fortune.
Well, as it is right now, you could get. I think you could ask 110.
Probably more than that.
Probably.
Could be.
This house is
Well, shoot, if you finish the basement.
28 years old.
Yeah.
We've been here 28 years.
Yeah. That's definitely got to be the longest you stayed somewhere.
That's for sure.
But when did you guys start doing all your traveling around with the camper?
Well, we bought that the year I retired in 1972.
What year did we go with you to?
73.
Was it in '73 that we went?
When we went up in Canada,
Yeah,
that's the year your dad passed away, isn't it?
'74.
That would have been 74.
Yeah.
Well, it was 74 then,
Okay.
because he passed away in February, and then
Right.
that summer is when we went up there.
Mm. All I remember of the whole trip was that Richard flushed my silly putty down the toilet of the trailer, and that really made me upset.
He did it on purpose?
Of course he did. Took my silly putty and flushed it down the toilet of the trailer.
Did you know that?
Well, I probably did then, but I didn't remember. And Sherry, she done something that I will always remember. She wouldn't give up that her dad wouldn't be coming home.
Huh.
All right, Daddy will be home. And we sit there, and kids are out playing.
And Mom went with us, right?
And I was on the bed doing something with the window across the bed. Sherry come running in, and she says, "My daddy's not coming home no more."
Huh.
Away she went again.
I wonder what made me realize that.
I don't know, but
Mom must
all
have
that
told
time,
you.
from February up until probably July, you insisted that my daddy's coming.
Huh. Well, I know Mom told me the one time that the next door neighbor, Bob Korb, somebody brought him home from work in a truck. And apparently Dad had been brought home in something similar, and I guess I went running out. Dad saw him. So.
But I didn't, she just come in and so quick, "My daddy's not coming home no more." Out she went again.
Was I crying or anything?
No, he was just,
Huh. Well, that's really weird.
yeah. I didn't have time to say anything or hug you or anything. You were there and gone.
Huh. Well, that's weird.
I didn't.
Never knew I did anything like that.
Well, you did, though.
What year was it that I came out here to visit by myself, and Mom had to come and get me because I was so homesick that when Richard showed up I stuttered. Did you remember that?
No, I don't. But it must have been before your dad passed away, wasn't it?
Had to been, because I don't remember it, but Mom
I think
said
you were over at
Grandma Perkins?
Perkins's.
Huh.
See, that's
Yeah,
what
I
I
don't
thought
remember.
too. You're at Grandma
Apparently,
Perkins's.
when Richard showed up, all I could say was, Rick, he! And I stuttered for months after that. And must have missed my brother.
So you moved here in '69, huh?
Yep, in May. Latter part of May, 1969. Your mom and dad came over and helped us move.
Hmm.
Did you have any of this furniture then?
Not very likely.
No.
You probably had that
Green.
grayish,
The green
brownish.
sofa.
green sofa.
Goldish.
Nah, it wasn't gold. It was
Oh,
more of a.
tan.
We had a
creamy.
green hide-a-bed.
Yeah. See?
I don't remember that.
We had it here for, well, we moved it in the basement when we
Yeah.
moved over here. And,
Is it still down there?
no, Jerry got it.
Well, she got that grayish kind of colored one too, a creamy colored one.
She had it for a while. It's gone too.
Huh. Mom's old couch is finally gone.
It is?
Yep.
What happened to it?
It went to Sentinel Little Theater.
Huh.
Of all the places. Didn't I tell you that?
No.
Yeah. Because Mont moved. And I was told never to bring that thing back home again.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh. So, he saw something in the paper, so he took it to Sentinel.
Oh, but
They're using it for their plays.
oh.
Yeah, that got beat up. That was used. The worst thing that ever happened to it, though, is when I had it in storage a few years back over at Chris Peterson's house. His dog got in there and got after it.
Oh.
Ripped up one of the pillows and took pretty much all the stuffing out of one of the backs.
I gotta say.
Still worked. We still used it.
No, I don't have much furniture left that I had when I got an old bed in there.
Yeah.
We bought that when we moved back here in 1947.
That's the one with the metal headboard?
Yeah, it's a metal bed.
Yeah.
And I got another old bed in there, one my dad wanted me to have.
Oh.
It's in that other bedroom in there.
Yeah, with
Got
the
a
bookcase headboard.
Shelf up there. And I got 2 old machines in there, sewing machines.
Yeah. What about your stereo? Record player?
Doesn't work anymore.
Oh, it doesn't.
No, I don't know what happened to it.
And by the way, yeah, I would like to have that one record that I was used to listen to.
What is it?
Oh, it's the one that's got On Top of Spaghetti and...
Oh, that one.
You want that, huh?
Yeah, you asked me if I wanted those records last time. I'll take that one.
Well, it's a good thing you mentioned it, because not many people anymore that's got a record player to play those kind of records.
Oh, I do. I got record player.
By the way, I've got something I want you to take home with you.
Uh-oh.
Well, that's not fair.
Why?
You
I
don't know
don't
what
even
it
get
is
my
yet.
blanket.
Huh?
Won't give me my blanket.
You know what it is?
No.
Well, come down here and let's go get it before we forget it.
I should have told you I was getting married when I come out today.
And then you would have got to... I'd be more than happy to take that home and store it.
Your organ?